Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good night. We definitely want to welcome you to the Financial Planning Financial Aid 101. Tiffany, are you on the line?
I am, in fact, on the line. Hello.
Hello.
It would help if I remove my phone from mute. That might actually make this a little bit easier for everyone to get some answers.
I was making sure. It's like, I can't hear you.
No, I actually can operate a phone, I promise.
Well, I was letting everybody know, glad you guys are with us. We are recording this tonight, so everything that you see and that you hear, we will also make available to you within the next few days. We'll have this posted up and let everybody know how to access it as well if you ever want to go back and reference any of it. But for right now, on your screen, hopefully you'll see on the right side there's a question box and a chat box. Both of those, I definitely encourage you to use the question box. Of course, if you have any questions, please post those there. And myself or Tiffany will answer this, whoever's best capable of answering those questions for you. Most likely a lot of the stuff's going on tonight is going to be Tiffany. And for right now, I'm going to hand it over to her.
Great. Well, thanks, Jeremiah. I really just want to take just a quick second and kind of explain what I foresee the next several minutes to an hour being. However long is necessary is perfectly fine with me. This was kind of an opportunity for us to try something new, to be quite honest. Here at Georgetown College, we've never done a financial aid webinar before, but we thought it might be something to give everyone an opportunity to ask some questions or some burning things so that perhaps they, thought other families might benefit from knowing. So keep in mind that any question that you have is live and in public view. So I would encourage you, if you have specific questions about your son or daughter's financial aid package or anything that you might have specific to your own family going on that you wouldn't want to share to the general population, to please give financial planning a call so that we can, help you through that and navigate the process and certainly, help you one-on-one. If you don't have that information right in front of you, hopefully you have the front screen that has our contact number and certainly our office email address. So please, at any time, feel free to do that and to get some help, just kind of as a lifeline for you. But hopefully tonight we'll be able to answer just some general questions about financial planning, kind of where we are in the process right now as you have college students that are preparing for the fall. But like I said, if you have specific family questions or financial aid questions about your personal package, we'll certainly navigate those. I'll tell you from a Georgetown College perspective, we are 3/4 of the way through doing our financial packaging. So if you have not yet received a financial aid package from us, I promise will be in the mail here within the next week to week and a half. We start alphabetically and are through the V's, as in Victor. So we feel pretty good about that. It's taken us about 4 days to get through. Athletes or any type of special scholarship from music or theater, something like that, that we are still kind of waiting on a coach or a department to make some decisions. We'll wait until we hear about those things before we send out the financial aid package. So I promise you haven't been forgotten by any stretch of the imagination, but you will be getting something from us very shortly because it's important, and we realize it's helpful in making kind of your next steps and having the next series of questions. So, our slideshow that we have is very, very brief. It's, 4 slides. And the reason mainly is because it's painful. It's absolutely painful to watch a PowerPoint presentation on financial planning, especially when this could really just be an opportunity for you all to ask questions and to kind of get some feelers out there of things that might be coming up. So I encourage you to ask questions and to type them in along the way so that we can help you navigate anything that you kind of have outstanding as a question that you have heard or that you want to know more about. So please feel free to chime in and chat with us and say something here. First and foremost, I think it's just important that we get to a point where you can take a look at opportunities beyond a financial aid package. It's an important question that you should ask every institution that you're looking at in terms of, what's the bottom line after the financial aid package comes in and I can, see that there clearly is going to be still an outstanding cost because the reality of higher education, especially now with the way that things are happening in D.C., is that there's going to be some out-of-pocket expense. And, that's unfortunately kind of the time that we live in at this point. And it's important that you kind of have all of your options on the table. whether or not that school offers a payment plan, if that's done by semester, if that's done by the month. We here at Georgetown offer a couple of different payment plan options. You can do it by semester. You can do it in a 10-month payment plan. And, some families are able to do that. Other families are not. Some families, if you have an outstanding cost of $8,000, that's not a reality for a lot of families, is to try to come up with $800 a month. It certainly wouldn't have been a reality for my family. I'm a first-generation college student, so I very much understand what this means and how scary this can be. So I'm not alone in that realm, I'm sure. But there are options, and those options are obviously always going to be things that no one really wants to consider, but it's the reality, and that is trying to borrow to help a student come to college. And whether or not that's a federal loan or a private education loan, those are going to be things that we will certainly help you navigate. Those aren't anything that here at Georgetown College we expect you to know about or to be able to do on your own, but that is, kind of a next step, and it's something that you'll really start to do over the summer. So, if you're thinking about that option, it's something that you certainly want to know about, but it's not anything that you're behind in doing, nor will you have to worry about doing it in the next couple of weeks. So I understand that this is crunch time. And the waiting game is the worst part, as I'm sure you can all attest to. You feel like you've done so much to get to this point. You have done all the applications, you've scoured for outside scholarships, you've gone to all of your visits, and now you're just kind of waiting, and it feels very weird because you feel like you're missing out on something. But, this is one of those things that I promise that we will help you walk through. So again, this is one of those things. You want to make sure that you're asking the institutions that you're looking at what type of payment plans they have, what type of loans they help you navigate, or what they anticipate you needing to do on your own. And certainly, it's not one or the other. You can certainly borrow some and then do a monthly payment plan for the remaining balance. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. This is some general information for you in terms of some websites to take a look at, just general pieces of the puzzle that you might want to know about, places that you could try to find outside scholarships, which I'm sure a lot of your high school counselors are probably also helping you with or helping you to navigate. And certainly if you ever get to one of these websites and have a question about anything, you are welcome to call us just so that you can get an idea about what might be helpful, what might be a scam. I'll tell you that the greatest rule of thumb is to never pay for a service like this. There are so many information systems out here that will help you navigate outside scholarships or general information about financial aid and federal and state grants, that you should never ever be paying for something to give you college information. So if you leave here with nothing else, at least know that doing this, yes, it's time consuming, but sometimes very beneficial, and something that you should just kind of take the time to recognize and research a little bit. Again, Jeremiah had said earlier, these are going to be things that because we're recording and because we're going to have posted later, that you'll have access to this information. You'll be able to print that off and take a look at it. So, if that will be helpful information for you, then that would be great, just so you have it. And then, just for us, the final piece has really become just making sure that you're realistic. Steer clear of the stories that you hear from friends and family. It's the old general rule of thumb, and you always hear it, is that your neighbor tells you that their son or daughter got a $40,000 scholarship to go somewhere. Well, that might be true, but in reality it was $10,000 a year. And that really does sound like $40,000, except the way that people say it tends to be more braggy and perhaps not as realistic. The other piece of that, of course, is that things have changed. So if you're talking to a family friend, or if you're talking to a neighbor whose son or daughter went to college even 3 or 4 years ago, what the state offers and what the federal government offers now, those programs have changed quite a bit. And as we've seen with the sequester and things happening in D.C., there's no guarantee that funding can go through an entire year, let alone be the same consistently for years and years. So just make sure that you're giving the institutions the opportunity to answer your questions, and talking to a professional who's working with it every day is very, very beneficial. This is just one of those things that says don't procrastinate. If you have not already, you really need to go ahead and complete a Fafsa. And if you have no idea what a Fafsa is, call us, and we will make sure that you know that. But hopefully everyone who is on the line at this point is very aware of the Fafsa and the daunting task that it can be completing it for the first time. But the Fafsa is incredibly important, especially if you are a Kentucky resident. You know, a Fafsa is important because it helps you become eligible for potential federal and state grants. So it's something that you need to take a look at if you haven't already. A lot of people don't recognize that to borrow from the federal government a student loan or a Parent Plus loan, you have to have a Fafsa completed. Now that wasn't always the case. So again, one of those things, if you have a neighbor whose son or daughter went to college 5 years ago and they tell you something, because it used to be that you didn't have to have a Fafsa completed for a parent to be able to borrow a Parent Plus loan. That is no longer the case and hasn't been for about 4 years. So it's important that you really listen to general professionals in the area and not necessarily word of mouth on the street. And if the other thing that I'll just tell you is, and then I'm going to stop talking and take questions really for the rest of the webinar, but the other piece of that puzzle is just making sure that you're keeping an institution aware of things that are going on, of family situations that have changed. If you've completed a Fafsa and you know as soon as you're sitting there and you hit send and submit that what you've submitted is going to be really different for you in 2013 than your financial information was in 2012, you should pick up the phone and call the school and all the schools that your son or daughter is interested in, because you want to give them the opportunity to help you best complete that financial piece of the puzzle. A lot of schools will use the Fafsa as a means to determine whether or not you're eligible for, yes, federal and state money, but also for need-based money from the institutions themselves. Here at Georgetown College, we offer need-based money, so it's important that you allow the school the opportunity to work with you through what financial or family change there may have been, if there's been a separation or a divorce that was not captured in 2012 tax information, if there is suddenly a change in the number of the household, if you have a son or daughter that's now in graduate school, do you include them in the number of college along with your freshmen? There are lots of questions that you think you've done everything right and you haven't tried in any way to cheat the system or misconstrue information, but depending on how you answer it, you really could be preventing yourself from maximizing all of the aid eligibility that you have. So if you're not sure, or if you have something that just seems, like an addition that you didn't really have the opportunity to write on the Fafsa itself, then call the schools and figure out whether or not there's anything else that they may need from you or that you could do. It's something called a professional judgment. Every school has the ability to do it. What they may ask of you could be a little bit different, but it's important that you help the school understand your family and your family's financial situation and, really let them walk you through and navigate how to do this. We do it every day, and you do it once a year. So, let us help you. That's why we're here. The other part of this, and this is a very common question, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it to the mass, even though it wasn't a question here, but it's a really common question, and I've gotten it at least 4 times this week, and it's only Thursday. And that is that, we completed the Fafsa as a family, but my mom is remarried, and my biological dad will help me pay for college, but my mom didn't know whether or not to put my stepdad's financial information on the Fafsa. The Fafsa itself needs to include the entire household and the entire household's income of the house that the student lives in. So in my situation, when I went to college, my mom and my stepdad were both on my Fafsa. Even though my biological dad and I have a relationship, and he certainly was going to help, with college, so I benefited from that. But it was my mom and my stepdad's financial information that was on the Fafsa because that was the household that I lived in, and they were married. So it's a general question, but it's something that I get a lot, and if that helped anyone at all, then that would be great. Okay, oh great. All right, well I've got my first question, so thank you, Danny. The question right now is, what's the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans? That is a fantastic question. The difference really is fairly easy to explain in that a subsidized loan is a loan that the government pays the interest on while you're a student in school. So while it certainly does have an interest rate, and it's something that you kind of always want to know about, a subsidized loan is based on the Fafsa information. So it's based on whether or not you have the need and the ability to borrow one. So that may change based on the school that you're looking at, whether or not you're eligible for subsidized or not. An unsubsidized loan is a loan that is accruing interest while a student is in school. But keep in mind, anytime a student borrows money, those payments aren't going to be due until a student has graduated. And in fact, 6 months after that student has graduated is when that federal student loan will start to go into repayment. So I hope I've answered that pretty clearly. But a subsidized loan is a loan that the government pays the interest on while the student is in school. And then when they go into repayment is when that loan starts to accrue interest. An unsubsidized loan is a loan that is accruing interest, but no payments are due. In fact, a lot of families will opt to pay the interest payment monthly on an unsubsidized loan, but certainly you don't have to. And I did not when I was a student. So great question. Let's see. I also have a question here that says, I haven't received my individual package. Will it explain details of my financial needs, and will it show scholarships I received? The answer to that is yes. When you receive your financial aid package from Georgetown College, it will have specific categories, and it will very clearly line item where things have come from. All of the money that you've been eligible for from Georgetown College, including the merit scholarship that you have already gotten a letter about from the admissions office when you were admitted. So let's say, for example, that you were awarded a presidential scholarship. You will have everything on your financial aid package that you are eligible for at that time. So it will show your presidential scholarship. It will show any special scholarship that you may have applied for and received, like a global scholarship or the equine scholarship. It will also show anything from the state of Kentucky, if you're a Kentucky resident, that you might have qualified for. And it will show you anything from the federal government that you've qualified for. What you won't see on your financial aid package is a Parent Plus loan. So we only put on our financial aid packages what a student is eligible for, and we put everything that a student is eligible for on that financial aid package. And you have the ability to accept or decline any of those things. So while we do tell you that you're eligible for student loans, certainly if that's something that you don't want, you absolutely have the ability to decline those, and then you can mail that award letter back into us with your signature. So yes, and Haley, when you do receive that, please give us a call, and we'll make sure that we go over with you line by line so that we can take a look at it with you if you have any questions. I have another question here, and that is, how much student loan money can you borrow each year? That's going to be based on your year in school that you are. The federal government basically says that every year that you're in school, so if you're a freshman, then a sophomore, then a junior, and a senior, you have the ability to borrow just a little bit more. So your freshman year, the total amount of federal student loans that you can borrow is $5,500, $5,500. Your sophomore year, you can borrow $6,500, and then your junior and senior years, you can borrow $7,500 for both, for each year. And so it does graduate as you earn more credit hours and are retaining in an institution. So those are the maximum amounts of direct student loans that you can borrow every year. So as a freshman, that maximum amount is $5,500 from the federal government as a student. Let's see. I have a great question, and that is, how early can I fill out the Fafsa form if someone is a junior in high school? Great question. The Fafsa form is available every January of your son or daughter's senior year in high school. So, and the reason is because the IRS and the Fafsa work together. So the Department of Education and the IRS work together. And because they need the financial year from the previous year to be over, then they wait until really January 2nd to allow the Fafsa to roll out. So when your son or daughter is a senior in high school, that January, literally after the holiday of their senior year, is when you want to start making sure that you're putting an estimate together on that Fafsa. That's a great question. Really good question. Let's see. Let me look here. Okay, I have a question about what type of information should I bring with me to meet with financial aid, to understand a family situation, and will it be possible to meet with someone when you come for our Tiger Day? And the answer to that is yes, certainly. Financial aid will be here at the March 23rd event. So we welcome everyone to come with questions and have the opportunity to individually as a family sit down, myself or along with our associate director and our financial aid advisor. All three of us will be here. So we'll have our offices open to sit down with families, and we encourage you to do that, to get a one-on-one. If you have a specific family situation that you'd like to chat about, we certainly have something called a professional judgment form here that you're welcome to fill out while you're here with us. But if you have documentation that you'd like us to make copies of to kind of help explain what the change or what the family situation is. For example, if you have a job loss and you received part of a pension in 2012 and so your income looks significantly higher than it will in 2013, you need to bring us a copy of your W-2 from 2012 along with any letter or documentation you received from your employer about how much the pension was or the buyout was, and go ahead and bring to us a copy of a pay stub from 2013. You know, it's those types of things. But I encourage you, if you have a specific situation, give us a call tomorrow or sometime next week, and we can walk through it with you over the phone, and then let you know on the phone what documentation we might need from you, and you can bring it with you on the 23rd, and we'll sit down and talk about it. So that's a great question, and certainly yes, we will be here. Let's see. Yes, the answer is, whether or not you'll receive or will you see the Georgetown College visit included in your financial aid package? The answer to that is yes. We rely heavily on our admissions data and admissions counselors to kind of review the dates of your official visits that you had, and certainly they've needed to be official visits. Official visits that were put into our admissions data system. But yes, on that financial aid package that you receive from us, the admissions data has been uploaded. So if you visited your sophomore, junior, senior year, you'll certainly see those amounts reflected on your financial aid package. Let's see. Somebody's asking about our current costs. Our current tuition and fee costs for 2012-2013, the combination of tuition and fees and room and board, which includes a 19-meal plan and then obviously a double room, is $38,690. And I will tell you that I'm very aware of the sticker shock that goes along with that cost. I do think that Georgetown College is worth that, but certainly our CFO is cringing because we don't have a student on campus that pays $38,690. In fact, our average tuition discount rate is about 50%. So 100% of students who apply to Georgetown College receive some type of merit scholarship because we are not an easy school to be admitted into. And so anyone who applies here, we want to invest in. And in doing so, we invest with our merit scholarship dollars. And so we do have, like I said, a very nice merit scholarship package, and that's reflecting of that. So certainly our CFO would like to see someone pay the full $39,000, but we don't currently have a student on campus that pays that. But it is a great question about what our current costs are. Let's see. Someone has a question about what the Kentucky tuition grant is. And why does it say estimated? And that's a great question. The Kentucky tuition grant is something that is from the state of Kentucky, and it's something that you are only eligible for if attending a private institution in the state of Kentucky. It is a need-based program, and so it's something that, based on the Fafsa being filed and the fact that you are attending a private institution, both of those things have helped you to earn that Kentucky tuition grant. The reason that I have put estimated in front of that is because I always want to make sure that a family is aware of the fact that that money is coming from the state. And so if in a month the state decides to tell me that the Kentucky tuition grant amount is not $2,930, it's $2,910, the family is very aware of the fact that I didn't have any control over that part of it. And I'll give you the example. Last year the Kentucky tuition grant was $3,000. This year the Kentucky tuition grant has been confirmed for the 13-14 academic year, but it's $2,930. So the state decided to take $70 away from it. And the reason I list estimated on there is because I want a family to know that that's based on a Fafsa filing. I can't guarantee that you'll receive that every year because it will be based on your financials that you submit on your FAFSA every year. But should in the next 3 years your financial situation pretty much stay the same, you know, and the state decides that this program needs to continue, which it has for about the last 13 years, I believe, then it will be something that you'll see on your award letter every year. But that's a great question. Hopefully that answered that. Let's see. What do I do if what do I include if I live with my unmarried mom and my dad doesn't claim me on his taxes or plan to help? My mom has custody of me. In that situation, your FAFSA should really only be your mother's income. So if your mom and you or your siblings are the only ones that live in the household, it would be your tax information, the students, as well as your mom's tax information. And I'll tell you that whether or not someone claims you on your taxes has nothing to do with the FAFSA. It is a very, very common misconception, so you're not alone. But many, many divorce decrees now allow a family to split. You know, one parent can claim the children on the taxes 1 year, the following year the other parent can claim the taxes. That actually doesn't have anything to do with the FAFSA. The FAFSA just wants to know who you live with 51% of the time. So a lot of families will say, well, my children split their weeks. Literally, it comes down to there are 365 days in the year, so that's not an even number. So whoever you spend the most days with in a year, that's whose parent and family information should be on the FAFSA. Complicated, I realize, but that is the way right now the Department of Education defines who should be on there. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. These are great questions. Let's see. I have a question about how does a Florida prepaid apply. I'm going to assume you're talking about a 529 in the state of Florida, and I think that it'd probably be easiest if you gave us a call here directly in the office so that I can help you walk through that. Essentially, you know, that plan, like a 529, is going to be up to you to tap into. And if you haven't already, I would go ahead and contact the holder of that 529 to let them know when you've made a college decision, give them the heads up on what institution you'll be sending that money to. But if you need more help with that, if you haven't already made that phone call with them, certainly give us a call, you know, either tomorrow or sometime next week, and we'll walk you through that. We certainly have a lot of families that have a 529 prepaid tuition account. And you know, while we aren't certainly financial advisors, those in particular we can certainly help with in terms of navigating how to do that. So you're welcome to give us a call so that we can take care of that for you. A Parent Plus loan. What is it and how much is it? Great question. A Parent Plus loan is a parent loan, so it's a loan in a parent's name that is dispersed from the federal government, directly from the Department of Education. It is a loan that, because it's federally funded, I will say I would certainly recommend before you would go with a private education loan, or, you know, back in the day you used to be able to borrow a home equity loan to help pay for college. Many mortgage lenders won't allow you to do that anymore. But a Parent Plus loan is a loan in a parent's name to help pay for their son or daughter's education. And it is the amount of a Parent Plus loan that you can borrow the remaining balance of a tuition and room and board bill from a college, as well as additional funding to help pay for their books, miscellaneous expenses. So the amount of a Parent Plus loan that you can borrow is going to differ by school because we all have different costs. But a Parent Plus loan is something that process you won't actually start doing until June. So please, 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 this is for all of our attendees, don't try to go out to the Department of Education website and do a Parent Plus loan application on your own. And I'll tell you why. First and foremost, that is based on credit, and the credit determination that they do when you do an application is only good for 90 days. So if you did one now, that Parent Plus loan wouldn't be any good for a school that can't actually go out and get the money until August, until 10 days before the start of the first day of school. So that means if you did one now, in 90 days, it wouldn't be any good, and you'd have to do one again. That means that your credit is going to get hit twice because you're doing a credit application. so food for thought is make sure that you're just letting the school prompt you on the different steps and when you need to be doing them. But in the back of your mind, if you know that you're going to have to take out some kind of loan, just know that you won't really start doing that until the middle of June. So hopefully that's helped a little bit. Let's see. Is the Stafford loan the same thing? Oh, sure. Jeremiah, do you have a question?
Oh, yeah. Well, there are a few questions that are popping up regarding admissions, and I just wanted to touch on one real quick if I could.
Yeah, of course.
And first, I forgot to actually introduce myself. My name is Jeremiah Tudor. I'm Assistant Director of Admissions here at Georgetown, so I'll be covering some of the admissions questions I see popping up here. One of them is talking about what if I can't make it to today's Tigers. First and foremost, if you can't make it due to some form of conflict, that is okay. As long as I definitely say make sure that we know that there's a conflict and that you're not going to be able to make it for that purpose, so that we can make sure to mark it and follow up with you with information regarding that day's events. For those of you who have been accepted to Georgetown and might hear me talk about today's Tigers and might not know what I'm talking about, it is a big day on March 23rd. For students who are accepted to Georgetown. It is an admitted student event day. We're going to have all kinds of things going on during the day. One of the main things is all students who do come will leave with the Georgetown College ID. All students who do come, them and their families, will have the opportunity to tour all of the housing, the resident halls on campus, anywhere to the general independent housing, Greek housing, and the townhouses. So you'll have an opportunity to actually look at all the different resident halls on campus. You will have the opportunity to actually sit in a presentation or classroom setting with professors within the area that you choose to major. So you'll get to ask questions about that and register for at least 2 classes while you're here that day. So you actually get to start putting your class schedule together and getting those things put together. So I would definitely encourage you, if you have not signed up for it, look in your inbox, in your email. It's a very easy link within an invitation that we've emailed out. We've sent it a few times, so I believe the most recent one might have been this afternoon. So I definitely encourage you to look in your inbox and register for that. But if you cannot make it, do not worry. Just make sure that we do know, and we're going to follow up with all of this information shortly after the event. So that you are on board with all the things that are going on, because we definitely know, there are sporting events, there are family events that are going on that might not allow you to come. So don't worry about that, but we'll definitely get information to you. There are a few other questions, but I'll hand it back over to you, Tiff, so we can cover some more financial aid.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Jeremiah. Okay, I was just going to pick right back up here, and it says, we've not yet received our financial aid package. If we're eligible for federal grants, will that info be included and how much we're eligible for be included? And the answer to that is yes. When you received your financial aid package from us, if we have your Fafsa on file, first and foremost, if we have your Fafsa on file, you're going to see a federal student loan on your financial aid package. So if you have something from us and it does not have a federal student loan listed, then we don't have a Fafsa on file for you. So that's the first thing, to make sure that if you know that you've done a Fafsa, make sure that the Georgetown school code is listed on that Fafsa that you sent to us. The second thing is, if you're eligible for anything from the state or the federal government, we have ensured that we've put it on your financial aid award. The only time that's not going to be true is if you are selected for a process called verification. 1 in 3 FAFSAs get selected for that. It's something that you received in your packet when you get it if you're selected. So if you didn't get anything from us about that, then please don't panic. But if you did get something from us about that, please don't panic as well. But hopefully the information that you received explains what the process is and what we need. And certainly if you have questions about that, give us a shout. But yes, if you're eligible for anything, we will certainly let you know. I want you to capture as much free money as you can get. Let's see. We received a financial aid award. It includes both types of loans, but still has an outstanding balance. And how does parent handle that amount most of the time? The answer to that is there are a couple of different ways. Some parents will take a Parent Plus loan. We have about 62% of our current student body whose parents do a Parent Plus application. So you'll have everything from a Parent Plus loan, borrow some of it, all of it. You'll do that, as well as perhaps a monthly payment plan. If there's something that you all as a family have budgeted, let's just say that you're eligible or able to pay $100 a month to help your son or daughter's education. So if, let's just say you've done that and you use a 10-month payment plan, then you'd only actually end up borrowing a Parent Plus loan of $5,000, for example. So hopefully that helps. But certainly if you want to talk about all of those options, you're welcome to call us. How soon do I have to update my FAFSA once my parents' tax returns are done? We always encourage a family, once your parents have actually filed their taxes electronically and submitted it to the IRS, they've actually filed the taxes. We always tell you to, if you've filed electronically, wait 10 business days and then log back into your FAFSA and do something called an Irs Data Retrieval. And it actually allows you to not have to manually input any of the financial information, but it'll let you capture your 2012 tax return that your parents filed 2.5 weeks ago. It'll just upload it right into your FAFSA. It's one of the prompts that the FAFSA lets you do. So if you haven't already thought of that or seen it, it's called the Irs Data Retrieval, and it's something that you should definitely take a look at. But certainly, give us a call if you have caused any problems with that. I have a question about why does our total tuition, fees, room, and board amount show the $40,540, but I just quoted the $38,000. And you're absolutely right. I just quoted the amounts for 2012, 2013. So I apologize. I did quote the 2012-13 cost, which is $38,690. And you'll have to forgive me. I'm still in 12-13 mode, working with students here before they leave for spring break. But you're absolutely right that the 13-14 costs are the $40,540, which is inclusive of a 19-meal plan, the double room occupancy, and then the tuition and fees. I have a question about living out of state, and do we offer any type of tuition grant or subsidy? If based on your FAFSA, we can see that you would be eligible for some need-based aid from the institution. That's certainly something that we would take into account. So if you're an out-of-state student and your financial aid package has something called a college grant on there, it's because we are aware of the fact that we may need to help subsidize a little bit of the state things that you are foregoing by coming to an in-state institution. But we don't have any type of different tuition and fees amount for in-state or out-of-state. All of our students pay the same rate. But hopefully that answered that question. If the Kentucky tuition grant is not on my aid packet, does that mean that you're not eligible? Well, it could. And the first thing is, if it's not on your financial aid award, but you do see a federal student loan, it means that we have your FAFSA and you weren't eligible for a Kentucky tuition grant. And that could be for two reasons. One, it could be that based on need, the state just won't release a Kentucky tuition grant to you, or it could be that from the date that you filed the FAFSA. If the first time you filed the FAFSA was not before February 9th, then the state funds exhausted for the year. But if you have a specific question about that and you want to give us a call to follow up, you're welcome to. But if you don't have a Kentucky tuition grant on your aid package, nor do you have a federal student loan, then we don't have a FAFSA on file for you. So that's certainly something to give us a call about as well. When will the tuition for 13-14 be set? That has been set, and when you receive your financial aid award, it will be listed on there. So hopefully, if you have questions about that, you're welcome to call. How many work study hours per week will my child be working if his award is 500 semesters? That's a great question. Work study is something that is going to be individual based on the institution that your son or daughter is looking at. And some institutions offer $1,000, some offer $2,500. It's important, though, that you recognize that federal work study is not something that's directly credited to a student's billing statement. And some institutions aren't all that open about that, so you certainly want to ask the question. Work study is something that isn't automatically deducted from a bill, and it's something that a student works and earns a paycheck monthly. In fact, I did a work study job on campus, and because me going to a private school was a family decision that was a stretch for us, but we wanted that opportunity. My work study job was my spending money because my parents couldn't afford to help pay for college as well as, give me money for a pizza at 11:30 at night. So at the end of the day, $1,000 for us with, the minimum wage of $7.25, it comes out to about 4 to 6 hours a week, depending. That's just kind of an average weekly some that we kind of talk to families about. I have student workers in my office, and some weeks they work 10 hours, and then other weeks it's exam week and they work an hour. So, a lot of departments really work with students on what they can do and what that looks like. But on average, it's anywhere between 4 and 6 hours a week. So certainly doable and not at all taking away from the fact that they're here to be students first. I certainly recognize that, as do most departments on campus. I have a question about verification, which is great. Verification is something that FAFSAs are selected for, 1 and 3 is selected for, and the institution doesn't select you, the Department of Education selects you. And really, you just kind of got the luck of the draw, unfortunately, I hate to say. But luck of the draw basically means that the Department of Education wants to make sure that the FAFSA is collecting all of the accurate information. And so it's their way of doing an internal audit that schools have to do. And so in the packet that you received from us, it was a verification form as well as a letter about some things that we'll need back from you. So the sooner that you can get those things back to us, the sooner that we can clear the verification up for you. And then at that point, we'll be able to offer you your completed financial aid award. So when you get something from us, but you also are selected for verification, what we've given you so far is the things that we can give you that aren't at all based on the FAFSA. So if you have questions about that, certainly give us a call. Hopefully that helped. Let's see. Is a Stafford loan the same as the federal loans? Yes. A Stafford loan is something that they were called Stafford loans about 4 years ago. Well, they were called Stafford loans for about 15 years. And up until about 4 years ago, they were called Stafford loans. That is actually when you used to be able to select a lender. So you could use, any lender like PNC or Sallie Mae or Wells Fargo. But now a direct loan is directly from the federal government. But the loan amounts are still the same. So if you have older siblings or if you have a neighbor who said they had a Stafford loan, the Stafford loan and the federal direct student loan are the exact same thing. Can anyone qualify for work study? Work study is a need-based program from the FAFSA. Work study is something that not everyone qualifies for, and it's a really important question for you to ask of the other institutions or colleges that you're looking at, because here at Georgetown we offer both work study positions as well as institutional work jobs. So to have a job on campus at Georgetown doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a federal work study student. You can just be a student who's looking for a job and you'd like to get paid without having to drive somewhere off campus. But it is something that not every small school offers, so it's a really good question for you to ask of all of the schools, whether or not they have only work study jobs or whether or not they offer jobs for students on campus who don't qualify for the federal work study program. So that's a really great question. Let's see. How do I apply for the federal work study program? If you're eligible for work study based on having a FAFSA completed, that is the application for work study, is just doing a FAFSA. And if you're eligible for work study, it will be listed on that completed financial aid package. And specifically, once the verification is complete, then we'll be able to, in the updated award letter, let you know everything that you're eligible for from the state and from the federal government. Let's see. We've applied for an outside scholarship. It won't be awarded until August. Can it be applied to your balance at that point? Absolutely. Anytime you receive an outside scholarship, even if you have gotten notification that you've received it, but you don't have the actual money yet, you still want to let the school know and probably fax or email them the letter that you've gotten saying that you've earned the outside scholarship. That's a burning question that a lot of people forget, and that is, if you have the outside scholarship notification that you were the recipient, and if you have them, congratulations. But make sure the financial aid office is aware of the fact that they're coming. That way we can go ahead and tell the business office, hey, we're showing that, they're telling us they're getting this. We have the documentation. So keep in mind when you're putting their bill together that this money is coming. So the most you can help us kind of keep everyone on campus in the loop of what's going on, the better off you'll be. That way we're all on the same page. And that would be the same for any institution. They all want to make sure that they're helping you out here. Let's see. Haven't received our financial aid package yet, and we do have a FAFSA on file. When can we expect it soon? Yes. And the answer to that is, like I said, we are through the V's, as in Victor, as of the end of day today. So I would anticipate the rest of our remaining admitted students who we are not, awaiting any kind of information from a coach or from another department like music or something like that, having their financial aid packages in the mail by tomorrow afternoon. So certainly you should get that here within the next couple of days from us. And give us a call if you have any questions. We'll be happy to tackle those. What is a Pell Grant? That's a great question. A Pell Grant is a grant from the federal government, and it is based on a Fafsa and based on need. So it can be based on quite a lot of things. But a federal Pell Grant is something that comes directly from the federal government based on a Fafsa being filed. And if that's something that a family is eligible for, we will certainly make sure that it is applied and that you're aware of it on your financial aid package. But as always, if there are any questions or if you're starting to receive financial aid letters from multiple schools and you're noticing things that just don't seem to be, they just seem to be different and you're not sure why, you are always welcome to call us or to call your admissions counselor so that we can help you navigate, what you're looking at and whether or not we can help you through that. It's a lot, and it's a lot to try to keep it all together and organized and to know, and for us, sometimes, you take for granted the fact that we see it every day. So please feel free to call us so we can walk through it with you. Oh, that's a great question. If our church participates in the church matching program, how do they send the money, and how do they acknowledge a student who the student the money is for? That's great that they participate in church matching. If you're unaware of that program, your church has the ability to write a scholarship check for you if you can get them to agree to do that. And if in doing that, Georgetown College has an agreement that we will match a church scholarship up to $200. So let's say your church is willing to invest $200 in your higher education experience. Georgetown College will also invest $200 in your college experience. So it's certainly something to take a good look at and ask whether or not that's something they're willing to do. But in terms of how to navigate that, you want to go ahead and have the church send the money directly to Georgetown, and you are certainly welcome to have them send it to the financial planning office. It will come to us or to the business office. We are two offices that are literally a building apart, and we walk back and forth daily because one of us is getting checks and the other one is getting checks, but we communicate hourly. And so you'll want to go ahead and have the check sent to financial planning. Our address is here on the webinar on the PowerPoint. It's also on the back of your financial planning award package. But have it sent to us directly, and in the memo line or in a letter that accompanies the check, make sure that they have designated who the student is. It's helpful, but not at all necessary that they put the Social Security number, but it is helpful if your son or daughter already has their student ID. Once they come on the 23rd, they'll receive their ID, but certainly also once we get further along and they start to enroll in classes and register, you'll receive your student ID. It's also on the award letter itself in parentheses after the name on the award letter. That is the student ID number that your son or daughter has been tagged with at Georgetown College. So all of those things are going to have that on there, but it's helpful to help just have an extra identifier other than the name in the memo line or in a letter that comes with it. But that's a great question. And congratulations. I'm glad to know that they're participating in the church matching program. Jeremiah, any other admissions questions coming your way?
Yeah, there are a few. Let me take a look here. One was regarding the housing form. When will the housing form be available? That email is probably going to be going out within the next week or so. The housing form will be done online, and it's only accessible to students who have paid their enrollment deposit. So if you have turned in the enrollment deposit, which is a $200 deposit, and you would have received an acceptance agreement with your acceptance packet to send back with that, once that's received, you'll be part of this email blast where you will be able to actually fill out the housing application, submit that, and the actual official housing assignments will not be made until probably June, because between now and then, with social media being as easily accessible as it is now, and of course students are all over it, you might meet somebody who's coming to Georgetown and want to actually room with that individual, and so we give you a chance to change the assignment a little bit if you want to between now and then. But that will be coming out very, very, very soon with the housing form. Let's see. There was another one on here. Somebody's asking about the private rooms and suites. Are they available? We do have individual rooms available, as well as if room is available in the townhouses, in the suite-style rooms, it's a first-come, first-serve on those. So there's no guarantee that those will be an option when you do fill out the housing form, but do know that you'll see them as something you can check to request, but it is a first-come, first-serve when it comes to those types of housing options. Okay? Let's see. What else do we have?
I have a question here, Jeremiah, about when the latest someone can complete the verification form and fill it in and send it back in to us and still get federal and state aid. That's a great question, and the answer to that is there really is no deadline in terms of your verification being complete, but I'll tell you that you won't be able to receive a completed financial aid package from any institution or be able to see what exactly the state or the federal government or the school will be giving you in terms of your scholarship and grant information until verification is done. So, it's kind of at your own leisure to put everything together and try to get it back to us, but at the same time, just know that, the sooner that we get that, the sooner we can give you some sort of next step and an answer. So, kind of at your own mercy, I guess, is the best way to say that. These have all been really great questions, and hopefully this has been something that's been helpful for you all, and that you've all kind of been able to, take something away from this, and certainly feel like you've gotten at least a couple of questions that you had pressing answered. If there's anything else that we can, help you with or walk you through, please don't hesitate to give us a call or shoot us an email. Like I said, as you receive financial aid packages from us and from other institutions, please feel free to, give us a shout and let us know if we can help walk those through, those with you. I know that your admissions counselors are certainly always willing to do that. We here in financial planning are always willing to do that. But it's something that we really want to make sure that you have, a really good understanding of everything that you've got in front of you. Let's see.
Agreed. I have another one here, Tiff.
Yeah.
Talking about, do we need to pay the $200 enrollment up front, or does that fee come out of our scholarship money? And that fee is not something that is part of the financial aid. It is something that we do ask for up front. It is then credited onto your account. It is not a processing fee. The full $200 does go right onto the student's account. It's more of a, and Tiffany, correct me here, like a good faith payment of sorts.
It is. It's kind of a placeholder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Placeholder of sorts, but it's certainly not going towards, vacation for anyone on staff. It goes against your fall bill. So even though you are paying it early, it will be something that you'll see credited to your fall billing statement. So it's kind of, I guess, you could look at it as your first tuition payment, if you really want to think of it that way. Let's see. The question I have here is, does everyone get a verification form with their financial aid package? And the answer to that is no. If you aren't selected for the verification process, then we do not send you a verification form. So, like I said, only 1 in 3 FAFSAs is selected. If you don't see anything on your award letter from the federal government and you don't have a verification packet, that can mean one of two things. That either A, we don't have a FAFSA from you, or B, that you weren't selected for verification. So if you want me to follow up with that or check on that for you individually, you're welcome to shoot me an email, and I'm happy to take a look at that for you. Yeah, anything personal like that or specific about your scholarship or verification specific to your Fafsa, please feel free to email me directly, and I'm happy to take a look at those for you. Using the FP, the financial planning at georgetowncollege.edu, that will still get to me. So you are still absolutely welcome. Let's see. I have a question here about a letter of intent, it looks like. Those are things that we'll certainly take a look at for you and make sure that we have a copy of that letter of intent from a coach. But those are the things I've made a note here to take a look at, and I'll be following up with you, Joe, about that. I see it, I promise, so I'll make sure that I follow up with you about that.
And I've got a question here. I was told that the course selection for registration will be online. Is this the case, and when will this be available? At the moment, it will be done online. Registration will be done through the student portal, which is also where the housing form is located. At the moment, the courses are just being finalized for the fall semester by the registrar's office and our faculty. So at the moment, it is not up and running just yet, but they are finalizing a lot of that information. A lot of it's probably going to be up after March 23rd because they're really trying to get this information available now, because we do know that this is something that students want to start looking at. So something I would look at either the later part of this month or the earlier part of April. You'll start hearing a little bit about that process being ready to be launched, and we'll be doing emails. You will get emails about when this stuff is available, when to go online, and to start finishing it. And of course, any of the admissions staff here, including the registrar's staff, will be happy to answer any questions you have regarding choosing classes and kind of going through that process as well. I see another question about our suites and private rooms in the freshman women's dorm. There are not suites in the freshman women's dorm, which Night Hall is considered that dorm. There are private rooms within the dorm, though, so those would be opportunities. Now, I will say that when you look at the housing form this year, for the very first time, you're going to see other housing options as possibilities. There will be, there's a dorm on South Campus that I believe Flowers, that will be one that will have some spaces available for incoming students. And also, if space is available after our other students have been housed, our current students have been housed, the townhouses are also possibilities too. Now, understand that the townhouses will have a different price point because of the setup that they are. They will have the same cost as a private room. But we would get you information about that if that becomes the situation for your student. But those are very, very good questions about if you do want to have that type of selection for you, for your student, definitely. Let's see. There's a question, is there a summer program for freshmen to register? At the moment, we're working out a schedule of how that's going to work out, so I don't have a definite answer on exactly what the summer registration setup is going to be. But we will have something together, whether it be something that you can easily do from home or if it's something that is on campus. We're still working out the details of that type of event or program setup for you. So. Let's see. You have any other questions, Tiffany? It looks like we're to the end of our time.
No, I don't, except I was going to say about, the summer orientation and that question. We actually have taken a lot of feedback from freshmen in the last 2 years and their families and how beneficial the day is and the things that we had set up for everyone. And so the reason, that we actually don't have them promoted yet is because we want to make sure that we're making the best use of everyone's time, and so it's kind of still in the works, determining what exactly those will look like. From my understanding right now, we'll probably have 2 or 3 of those days this summer, but depending on, just a couple of more snapshots from students and from their families from the last 2 years, that's really helpful feedback for us to get from them in terms of how it worked and whether or not it was, a day well worth it. But yes, absolutely stay tuned. I'm sure that's something that admissions will be following up with here in the next couple of weeks. Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
No, I don't have anything else. I'd say, Jeremiah, this has been pretty great and successful for our very first webinar for financial planning. So
Great.
thank you for setting this up. I know.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, we thank you guys so much for being here, and definitely hope that we're able to answer all of your questions. And of course, if you have more, which I'm sure you're going to have more specific questions to your situation, give us a call. And could you pull up your window one more time? Bring up your opening screen, Tiffany, with your contact information for financial aid.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. You know, if I can be computer literate for a second.
There's the phone number right there. So definitely take that information down plus email, and we're here to help you. We're here to answer your questions, and definitely hope that we'll have you here this fall. Have your students here this fall, and join the Georgetown College family. So definitely excited about all of this. Anything else, Tiffany?
I don't think so. I think we're good to go. But thank you all so much, and certainly give us a call if we can help with anything. And it's always nice to have a lifeline and a resource. And you're looking at private institutions, you might as well use us.
Definitely. And we'll be sending an email out probably next week with this recording, a link to this recording, so that you can go back and reference it if you want to. And again, have a great night. This has been wonderful, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.